if there was one thing that you wish New York voters knew in the 2026 election, what would be that one thing?
That is, if you vote for the Republican or Democrat that's running right now, you will get Kathy Hochul again. You will get exactly the same thing. If you are happy with how New York is running, you should vote for one of them. You'll get that. It won't stop. It'll be exactly the same. If you want change, there is only one way to change, by voting for the only independent candidate, which is me, Larry Sharpe. That is the only way. New York State is not going to go red. It's going to go independent or stay blue. That's what's going to happen. New York State is about 2 cycles from Republicans no longer running statewide candidates anymore. Nebraska doesn't run, Democrats don't run statewide candidates in Nebraska. Utah, Democrats don't run statewide candidates anymore. You can't. There's no way of raising money, and we'll do it. You're seeing it in New York. That's the future. Make that change. That's what you should do.
Welcome to the show. Today we have Larry Sharpe. He is running for governor in New York. Now, I don't really know everything that's going on in New York other than, there's been a lot of talk about Mom Donnie and everything. I feel like we have so many problems here in Michigan, so I haven't really touched New York that much. So I'm really interested to learn more. I have a lot of friends in New York. So Larry, welcome to the show.
I am happy to be here. And by the way, last month, since he just became mayor, Mamdani was my assemblyman.
Oh, really?
I literally live in the belly of the beast. Mamdani was my assemblyman. AOC is my congressperson. Yes. And now Mamdani is my mayor. Yes. I have all of them. It's where I live. Absolutely. Actually, the funny part is I actually know Mamdani. He was on my show 2 years ago. I actually had him on my show 2 years ago. I warned people this guy was good. He is a very charismatic guy. If you met him, Anna, if you met him on the street, you'd probably like him if you just met him. He's not a bad guy. He talks very well. And I think in his heart, he actually does care. I think he's wrong in many ways. Clearly, obviously, I'm a libertarian, so obviously I think that. But doesn't mean he's a bad person, if that makes any sense. I think he does believe the hype. I think he thinks he's going to help people, and we're going to get free buses. So, I mean,
I saw that he wants free transportation, but then the first thing that happened when he got into office is that they raised the price of the subway.
Well, to be fair to him, they raised the price of the trains. He said buses. Just gonna give him a little bit. Give him something. There we go. So
it's just funny.
Yes, no, it's challenging in New York State, and the what's really important about Mamdani is in many ways he's very much like Trump, believe it or not. And what I mean by that is he went against the grain completely because the people in his party, Republican Party for Trump, Democratic Party for Mamdani, know the establishment wasn't working. They were aware. And when the establishment isn't working, they go for whatever is working, right? When people have no idea or a bad idea, they take the bad idea. At least it's an idea, right? I'm in trouble, right? If I'm drowning and somebody puts their arm out and says, "Hey, I got you," you don't care whose arm it is. You don't care if it's a socialist arm, a capitalist arm, a Republican arm, a Democratic arm. You don't care. It's an arm. A communist, I don't care. Someone's going to pull me out of the water. I'm taking the hand. And what Mamdani did very well was provide New Yorkers with an answer or answers. And Republicans in my state have no answers.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. I mean, affordability is a crisis across the entire U.S., but especially in New York City. And so what's the solution he gave? It's a bad solution, but he's like, we'll have state-funded grocery stores.
Yes.
Which is literally, I know communism gets thrown out a lot, but that's literally what communists do. They literally control the food.
What you're talking about here is if you ask most people who would today consider themselves modern socialists, they will always say the same thing. Look, Anna, socialism, we're not talking about Soviet era. We're not talking about Mao. That's not real socialism. That's not what it is. What socialism is, it is when workers own the means of production. And I said that, okay, I'm not against that. That's co-op. We're okay. I'm not against that. If the government's not forcing it, we should support co-ops like any other business. If you think that's the right answer, if you want workers to own things, okay. I'm not mad at that. It's fine. But if you walk down Mamdani's policies, and I have, if anybody cares, you can go to my Larry Sharpe YouTube page. I walked down I did 3 separate shows on every one of his policies of his website. You know how many include workers owning the means of production?
How many?
0. Not one. 0. All of it is centralized control. centralized planning, and government or community, whichever one he decides, taking over private property. It is literally Soviet.
Yeah.
Everything that people say, well, no, modern socialism isn't that. It's not Soviet. Every single policy, if you add them all up, it's Soviet. So
And
the talk is nice, but the actual outcome is Soviet.
yeah, and no one has ever been able to tell me a government program that's actually run well. So
Mhm.
why would we want to give the government more control over our lives?
Yes.
So
Agreed. Yes.
um yeah, it's just so funny because Mom Donnie is like everyone hears about him just like we hear about President Trump, like he's this huge figure, but he's actually just a mayor of a city. Like he's not
No.
governor of New York.
And he
Not like
actually only has the thing that he has is he only has control. People don't recognize something. New York City is very special. New York City is the only city in New York in the country that crosses multiple counties,
mm,
right? The only major city that covers multiple counties, right? So Detroit's in one county,
mhm.
right? Chicago's in one county. LA's in one county. New York City is in 5 counties. What
Wow.
does that mean? That means the governor controls a lot because it's cross county.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
just that, our metro system goes into multiple states. It goes into Jersey and it also goes into Connecticut. With those two pieces, that means that's controlled by the president, which is why the
Mhm.
president had control over our congestion pricing in New York City. So the mayor actually only controls 2 things: schools and cops.
Mm.
That's basically what the mayor controls. So all the stuff he said, he can't do anything. Local mayors in other smaller cities are actually more powerful than the New York City mayor. People don't know that. They think, oh, the New York City mayor is the biggest city in the country. He's powerful. He's not. People go to become the New York City mayor to end their careers. I'm not joking. If you want to, you can ask President de Blasio, oh no. President Bloomberg, oh no. President Giuliani, oh no. They're all that doesn't exist. They all go
Wow.
away. Once you become mayor of New York, you're done. That's the game.
Mm.
You're finished.
Wow.
You're finished. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about you running for governor. So you actually would be in control of a lot of things in New
True.
York, much more powerful than Mamdani, believe it or not.
True.
I don't know if people understand that, but so walk me through what made
Yep.
you want to run, and even like I would like to hear some of your backstory. I've never learned any
My
of your
my my,
backstory.
my villain origin story. Why
Like,
I became the villain.
what
Yes.
made you crazy
Yes.
enough to wanna get involved in politics in the first place?
Well, couple things I'll bring up. The first one, this is my third run. So most people don't know that. And most people don't do this more than once.
Mhm.
Running for office as independent is literally punishment. That's what it is. I'm not joking. It's punishment. Ask RFK Jr. Yeah, it's punishment. And this will be my third run. So yes, I am crazy. In 20 in 2015, 16, I was considering leaving New York State. 2017, I was going to leave New York State. The state's a disaster. But I'm born and raised here. My business is here. My family's here. I didn't want to leave, but I considered leaving. I actually considered going to another large city because my day job when I'm not doing this is I'm actually a business consultant. You can probably
Okay.
see behind me. Neo says this is my business behind me. So that's what I do for a living. So I need a big city so I can make money and have clients in big cities. That's why I live in New York City. It's my clients are here. So I thought, you know what? I'll go to Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a big city, a lot of big business there. It's a hub. I'll go there. So I actually went there to check it out, and it was great. I could sell my shoebox of a house here in New York City and buy a mansion in North Carolina and still have money left over, pay less taxes. It'll be amazing. It's the greatest thing in the world, right? But I didn't leave. I got angry. I
Mm.
said, why does my state suck? Why do I have to leave? Why do I have to pack up and move? Why do I have to leave my family, my friends, my business, my life? Why? When I love my beautiful state, why do I have to leave? So I said, I'm going to go back. I'm going to run for governor in 2018. I'm going to win. I'm going to change the state. That was the plan. Things did not go as planned. I did not win the state. In fact, I got 2% of the vote, which I found out was actually wonderful because 2% back then was what got the ballot access for our parties. New York State, the hardest part is ballot access. For people who don't know what that means, is getting your name on the ballot. New York State is the absolute worst in the entire country. And to prove that, in 2022 was the first time in almost 100 years there was no independent on the count and no independent on the ballot for governor. And in 2024, New York State was the only state in the entire union with no independent candidate for president on the ballot. The only one.
Mm.
In fact, RFK Jr., as you know, spent $1 million trying to get ballot access in New York State. He's a Kennedy.
Mhm.
In New York State, he spent $1 million. He couldn't do it. So it is
Yeah, that the
totally
ballot
impossible.
access, how everything is so politicized is insane. So like I ran for village president, local level. Very straightforward. You go get 25 signatures, they're verified, and then you're on the ballot. That's it.
Yep.
But when it comes and you start going up there, all the political parties come after you. They don't want you on the
Yep.
ballot because most people are independent nowadays. They want
Yes.
more options. And the two parties do not want to give people options. So they are doing everything they can to keep you off the ballot. So
And it's
in
literally
many
it's against the Constitution, by the way.
yes. Yeah.
And the reason why I say
Yeah.
it is they literally when Bernie sued the Democrats in 2016, saying they didn't give him a fair chance, federal judges said no. They are private organizations. The political parties are private organizations. They are under no obligation to give you a free and or fair election. They're not, which is true. But then why do I pay for the primary? Why does my taxpayer dollars pay for a primary? In my state, I don't know about Michigan. In my state, we don't have open primaries. So
We have
I pay.
open.
Yeah, well, at least if we had open as something, we don't have open. So I
Mhm.
pay for the Democratic and Republican Party primaries that I may not vote in.
Yeah.
And I can't get on the ballot. So in reality, in New York State, and I'm not making this up, I don't have democracy.
Hmm.
What do I mean by that? At the city, state, and federal level, Democrats always win. And when I say always, I mean always. No Republican has won a statewide election in my state in 24 years.
Wasn't Giuliani a Republican?
Julian was 90s. That's 30 years.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Yes. Giuliani won 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yes. The last
He's
person who
talked about
won.
like he was just mayor yesterday.
Nope. He
That's
won
so
30
funny.
years ago, and that was just New York City.
Yeah.
And the state, Pataki won in 2002, 24 years ago. So in a full generation is gone before a Republican has won. In my local area when Mamdani runs, he wins 99-1. I'm not joking. 1% is write-ins. The Republicans haven't run anyone against a Democrat in my area in 12 years. They don't bother running a candidate. There's no need. Why? You can't. New York City is 6-1 Democrat to Republican. Mamdani's 1% that's against him is write-ins. It's the Mickey Mouse, Santa Claus. It's those people who just mad at him. He gets numbers that Stalin would be like, damn, you get those numbers? Kim Jong-un would be like, what? How you get 99-1? Damn, I want those numbers. So they would be jealous of Mamdani. That's how good he wins here.
So what the hell are you doing?
Yes, I have. And this is why I fight independent for that exact reason. And there's no hyperbole when I say this. For me to try to get ballot access in New York State for both the Libertarian Party and the We the People Party, which is RFK Jr.'s party, those two parties, and I mean this with no hyperbole, there is literally no one in the country who can do it besides me. Why do I say that? Because you have to be able to do it and be willing to do it. Are there people who could physically do it? Yes. Would they? No way. It is expensive. You must take a year out of your life. You will be punished for a year, and the odds are against you. Why would anyone of stature do it? They won't. So I am literally the only person who, and other thing, I've been through this twice before. I've been in the court. I've been sued. I've both won and lost. I won ballot access in 2018. I was sued off the ballot and lost in 2022. So I have done both. There is literally no one in this country who has done that. Like no one, I'm the only person in the country who's been stupid enough to do that. So no one else can do it right now but me. And I still poll in New York State at about 8%.
Wow.
Which is insanely good because at 8% for Libertarian in a dominated Democratic state, that's amazing. And there's a when you're doing independent, for those who don't know, when you're doing an independent run, generally speaking, whatever you poll at, you will actually get half. So if you poll at 2, you'll get 1. If you poll at 8, you'll get 4. You generally speaking get half because half people go into that ballot box go, yeah, my guy might win, the other guy might, and they change their mind. It's about 50%. So if I poll at 8, I'll get 4. However, there is a tipping point, and we found the tipping point in Jesse Ventura when he won in Minnesota back in the 90s as an independent. Once you get to around 25% or so in that area, that's when the public goes, you're real. And they're not going to turn. At that point, in other words, at 20%, you'll get 10. At 25%, you'll get 25.
Yeah.
Because that's the tipping point to where they think, oh, you're real, and they won't back out. My goal
Yeah. So
has to
many
be to
people
get myself
asked
to that
me
point.
when RK Jr. was running, so many people asked me, like, how does he win? You vote for him. You
Correct.
literally just vote. Like,
Yes.
I love to tell people, for the most part, you get what you vote for.
Yep.
And when I ran for village president, I said I was gonna fix. We have like a huge water crisis in my area. Water is so expensive. Just for me and my husband, it's $130 a month, and it's well water. So you still
To
have to have a
drink water.
softener. Yes, and so most places it's like $30. I think my mom pays $30 a quarter for her water bill. But anyway, so I said I'm gonna look into this. I'm gonna do all these things. And my competitor literally said, I'm going to raise water rates even more. And people voted for her.
Of
And
course.
within 6 months, she increased property taxes by 33%.
See
And
that?
so it's like, okay, maybe when these people say these things, you should listen to them. So,
Or maybe more importantly, you should simply stop voting for the establishment, period.
mhm.
Right? Why would the establishment want change? It doesn't. It's the establishment. It's
Well, my
doing well.
favorite with that is usually it's Democrats that say it, but tax the rich and we're going to fight against the corporate powers, whatever.
Yep.
Both parties are paid off by the rich and the powerful. They
Yes.
are not going to tax their donors. I'm
Yep.
sorry to tell you. When people
Yes.
say that they're going to go against big pharma pays off both parties.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean? It's just a slogan. It's just to get you to vote for them. But actually look at their track record. Look at what they're actually doing. If they
Yep.
continue to feed into the rich and powerful, then they're not just going to change the next election.
Yes. Well, the thing I talk about all the time is getting the rich to pay on their own. Right. So the thing I bring up in New York City, we obviously are a bunch of islands. So we have a bunch of bridges, large bridges that have millions of people cross every day. So what I've said is, instead of saying we'll tax the rich to make cheaper or free buses or cheaper trains or whatever, instead what we'll do is we will lease out naming rights to our bridges, $100 million per bridge. And there's at least a dozen we can do that with. 5 or 6 off the top of my head we could do. Probably a dozen we could do. Each of those brings in up to $100 million a year, then controls maintenance as part of the deal. It's a 12-year front-loaded lease. Bankers have already talked to me about it. They're already on board already. These are companies that their marketing budget is already billions of dollars. They would love to have a bridge that has a name on it. How do I know that? They dropped $20 million for stadiums that are used on the
Mhm.
weekends. I'm giving you a bridge in a 16 million person metro area that is crossed millions of times every single day by cars, but not just that, mentioned thousands of times on traffic reports throughout the metro area all day, every day. And every single time that you go on Google Maps, look around, the name is there on Google Maps. And not just that, but as you're doing movies and TV shows in the skyline of New York City, you get your name in all the movies, product placement by default. That's how that works. They'll happily do it. That will raise over $1 billion, more than our congestion pricing is doing. And the people will pay the wealthy.
Mhm.
And the best part, once they're paying for that, I don't need any tolls. Tolls go away. There are tolls in New York that are $15 to cross one bridge one way.
No.
$15, one bridge, one way. Yes. And if you're an owner operator truck driver, you pay per axle. You got 6 axles, add that up.
Mm-mm. No.
You got
I'm
10
good.
axles, that's $150 just to cross one bridge one time.
Thanks
Now
for
that's what
reminding
I'm
me
talking
that I
about.
don't ever wanna go to New York.
Well, to be fair, here I'm for you and your audience. New York, I live here. It's not great to live, but boy, it's wonderful to visit. There's a lot. Remember, New York is one of the oldest cities on the continent. So there's a lot of history here in New York City. There's a lot of good stuff. So you should come visit. Not just that, if you like anything classical, you cannot find better ballet, classical music, classical opera. You cannot find better than here in New York. If you like Broadway, you cannot beat live shows here in New York. We got that. So New York City is wonderful to visit. You should come and visit and then go back home, but you should visit. Absolutely, of course. Yes. And I'll give you a little tip, which I was talking about. Some of the things people don't know. Come to New York in the spring or the fall. Best time to come, spring or fall. And when you come to New York, make sure you do some walking tours. New York City walking tours are amazing. The history here is awesome. The things you'll see are great. The conversations you'll remember, the places you'll see are great. So come to New York City, come to my city and visit. If you like Broadway, do that. If you like classic music, do that. If you like shows, we got MSG, we got sports, and of course, we have history, walking tours. I think I've done a good job of promoting my city.
There you go.
So.
Okay, so
I'm sorry. I didn't walk down the road. I got to keep walking down the road. I'm sorry. I got to walk down.
You're good.
So I got mad and I said I was going back and I was going to run. I ran for governor the first time. I got 2% of the vote, which was enough for us to get ballot access, which was good because once we were on the ballot, that's when I went around the state again and I started following the state and getting people to get elected. We had 107 local victories across New York State in 2019. So we went from 0 libertarians to 107 in 1 year. Now, they were all local. They were things like water board and city council, but they didn't matter. That's what grassroots starts. I was like, yes, we're starting it. We're doing it. And the Democratic Party and the Republican Party might say, saw it and said, whoa, this Larry Sharpe guy's real. He's not a flash in the pan. He keeps moving. We got to crush him. And they did. They changed all the laws in 2020 that changed everything. Mid-cycle, they just said, we're changing all the laws. I said, but no. You guaranteed me for the next governor run. Nope. Mid-cycle, we're changing. Sorry. I went to court and the judges said, we don't care. I went to federal court. We don't care. State court, we don't care. So I tried to do it again in 2022. I raised over $500,000 the first time, over $500,000 the second time. I'm pretty good at raising money. For an independent, I'm amazing. At raising money for an independent, I'm amazing. Now big boys obviously do a whole lot more, but I raised over $500,000 last time too. Spent almost $400,000 just trying to get a ballot, got sued and lost. And it's funny. Democrats made the rules that crushed me. Republicans sued me in court. So they hate each other, except that.
Yeah.
So in any case, so that happened. So I was pissed off again. I thought, you know what? I saw how bad it was. I saw what was going on. It's one of the reasons why I backed RFK in 2024, because he was independent, trying to make some change. I wanted to see change. I want to see change. Change is not going to happen from the establishment. They are hand in hand in every single case. They always are. And that's the whole point. They'll yell tax the rich or whatever they'll yell. Mamdani and Hochul did a press conference yesterday talking about how they love congestion pricing here in New York State. In New York City, congestion pricing is raised over $500 million in 1 year. And I see it's raised this money. And I said, okay, so magically, no, it raises money for the people who are driving in New York City.
It's a tax on the people.
It's a tax. Correct. So they are proud to say, we just taxed the working class in Metro New York State city area. Some people from Connecticut, some people from New Jersey also came in and got taxed. So it's the metro area, right, of New York City tax for, but I thought you told me you're going to tax the rich. You told me you were going to tax the rich, but you're telling me right in public in front, they just raised, I don't know, do magic, I guess, half $500 million. No, that was an additional tax on the working class of the New York City metro area.
I wonder how much it costs, ends up costing someone the entire year with that congestion pricing. I can't imagine.
It just keeps going up, and they're planning to raise it. Now they've said it. They openly said, well, we'll raise it so we can raise more money. Then they lied. They said, well, this is going to fund all these big projects. Now, then they said the price tag of the big projects. The price tag of the big projects is $15 billion. This raised $500 million. How's this funding the project? It's not. You made that up.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that, New York City loses about the same amount of money, $500 million, to fare jumpers every year. You could just make people pay the fare and you don't have to have cameras. So they literally said, we did an amazing thing. We're awesome. And their amazing thing was, by the way, here's their amazing thing. Hey, we did an amazing thing. We installed cameras to surveil the middle class of New York City and then charge them extra taxes. See how awesome we are?
Mm-hmm. So what would you change with public transportation? Because that's such a hot button topic. So
the first piece I mentioned was the bridges and tunnels, as I mentioned. We would do that to raise extra cash so that we can have free tolls on our bridges. I'm not against free stuff. I'm not. But I just recognize someone has to pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But I'm okay with it. What I try to put into people's minds is so many people think one of two things. Corporations are great. They're our friends. They provide great stuff for us. Or the opposite. Corporations are evil and they want to kill us all. Neither is true. Corporations are apathetic. That's all they are. They respond to incentives. That's it. Now, if you give them bad incentives, they will do horrible things. You give them good incentives, they will do good things. So can we get free stuff? Yes, of course we can. If we get companies to voluntarily pay for them, we can. I just gave you one way of doing it through the bridges and tunnels. They'll pay for it. We get free bridges. They pay for it. Why? They get advertising. So they want marketing. Okay, great. Say voluntarily pay so we get free stuff. I'm not against it. I just don't want force. That's the only issue. Just don't force it. If people want to give you stuff, please allow them to give you stuff. I have no problem with that whatsoever, but they have to want to. Next piece. Our actual MTA system is very old, built in 1904 or 3, if not mistaken. It's over 100 years old. So we have to change it. How can we change it? Well, we can have the government rebuild it. No, we can't. We've tried that. It takes 20 years to build one line. I wish I was exaggerating. And it's always expensive. Okay, let's not do that. Here's the answer. Very simple. We need to allow for freight to come into New York City during the evenings. At night, the trains run at maybe half speed or a third speed. Since the lockdowns, New York City actually does sleep. There used to be the saying, New York City never sleeps. The city never sleeps. It sleeps now. The lockdowns devastated the city, and we have not recovered in any way, shape, or form. We're still not, when it comes to income, sales tax, ridership of our subways, we have not hit 2019 numbers yet. Wow. We're still behind 2019. We have not recovered from the lockdowns. Lockdowns were devastating for the city. We have not recovered yet. But anyway, we begin to allow freight to come in. Now, here's the problem. Freight coming into New York City at night would be fine because if we used to run 3 trains, we now only run 1. So the same amount of time, 2 trains make them freight trains. The problem is freight trains are different types of trains, different tracks. What will happen? We'll have to rebuild the entire system. We'll have to Wi-Fi the entire system because Amazon and Google and FedEx, they're going to want to have their trains Wi-Fi and covered. Of course they will. So they'll rebuild the entire system. Mm-hmm. Let them rebuild the whole system. They get a certain number of years where they can bring freight in at a discounted or free rate. That's their fee for building the entire new system. And we'll have a couple of hubs they'll create. We'll name the hubs after them, give them priority. We do it all the time. This is that governments do it all the time, right? We decide, hey, come on into my city. I'll bribe you $18 bazillion just to keep you here, but I'll give you no taxes for X number of years and local people will pay for it. So that's terrible. I'm saying, no, rebuild my entire system. Mm-hmm. And for that, you get to have priority.
And so that is that's a way better plan. See, I like plans like that. Instead of, in Michigan, we've had so many times where the government has given millions and billions of dollars. Ford is a great example. Yep. We gave millions of dollars. I think it was like 400 million or 500 million to Ford to build a battery plant. And then, shocker, they didn't build the battery plant. But they still got the money. And then they decided, okay, we'll just, once everyone got outraged over that, they're like, we'll just make a smaller one this time. So it never works out. So I would rather incentivize by saying, we'll give you, a reduction on property taxes, whatever, for the next 10 years. I would rather that than giving these corporations taxpayer money up front.
I don't want to give them I don't want to give them tax. Nothing. No. Because here's the problem. If I give them a lower property tax, the local people pay more.
Yeah.
So no, I don't want to give them anything. What I'm giving you is something that will make your business work, some infrastructure you need. Mm-hmm. Pay for it. You would buy it anyway. Pay for it. And I'll give you the marketing you need desperately. They're now putting commercials in urinals. I'm not joking. Now, when you have a urinal, there's going to be a panel there so you can run a commercial while you're relieving yourself. They are desperate for marketing. I have an 8.5 million person city, brother. I got you. I got you. I got you. So I will take care of that for you while you build up my infrastructure. Now, they rebuild the infrastructure. We get a brand new system with brand new rail, with cheaper, fully Wi-Fi, and the New York City pays nothing. Zero. So now I can even lower my fees. I can now go to $2 instead of $3. And I can lower the fees for Subway for a better system. Wi-Fi and secure. How do I know it'll be secure? Because their packages are going through it. They're not letting those packages get robbed. They're going to put private security in there. So now my police force is relieved. I
I
relieved my
can't
police force.
I can't wait till we get I don't know if we'll ever get there, but, like, Europe train system is just next level. You can do a fast train for, like,
Yes.
150 miles per hour. It's incredible, and you can just get everywhere. I would love that in the US. Like, it would be so good for all the cities and everything for tourism if you were able to just jump on a train and do like a day trip, or even if it's just overnight, whatever. But not everyone wants to, do all the hassle of getting on a plane, especially if it's only a day trip. So one year, maybe we'll catch up to Europe because they got it figured out. So we got to
100%.
get it figured out.
If we make this happen, what I just did was I allowed this to work without having to add one taxpayer dollar.
Hmm.
And that's the critical piece. I relieved everything in this regard. You asked what I do, I just gave you half. And here's why it doesn't work. So people want to say, well, Larry, it makes sense. Why don't you do it? Here's the reason why. In my view, in my thing, all I do is I just lease out the stuff to the people. I don't give out jobs. And the way that politicians are able to have control and to have patrons is by giving out jobs. So I give out jobs. That's why I want the government to build it, not because it works, because I give the jobs out. Therefore, people owe me. Therefore, I control the jobs. I'm the ring giver. I retain political power. This is a power play. Why in my state, Kathy Hochul decided that she wants to have the Buffalo Bills pay them about almost $1 billion to rebuild their stadium. Now, for
Wait,
those you
New
don't know,
York?
yes,
Like, the state of New
Buffalo Bills.
York is going to pay the
Correct.
Buffalo Bills $1 million?
Correct. Billion. It's 800
Billion.
million something, 800 something million. Yep. Almost $1 billion.
Why?
Yes. Okay. It's a great question. Now, you might say to yourself, why would you do that? A couple of reasons. Number one, you look at New York State. For those you don't know Western New York, if any of you know Western New York, we love the Bills. I'm not joking when I say that. You will see more Buffalo Bills flags in Western New York than American flags. I'm not joking if you drive by houses. A greeting in Western New York is not good morning. A greeting is go Bills. That's the greeting. Go Bills, brother. Hey, go Bills. Hey, sister, go Bills. That's the greeting, how much we love the Bills in Western New York. That's absolutely true. They're going nowhere. Buffalo is a 2 million metro person area. People go there all the time. They're packed every single time. They're going nowhere. Not just that. Every single NFL player is a millionaire. Every single NFL team owner is a billionaire.
Mhm.
Do banks not like loaning money to billionaires and millionaires?
Mhm.
No, they love that. That's one of their favorite things. They love. So could they get it financed? Of course they could. And most things done by these teams is financed, easily financed. Bankers love giving money to billionaires. That's one of their favorite things to do. They could easily do it. So why? Your point. Why in the world would Kathy go do that? Because she will now be responsible for giving out $800 million in jobs, including her husband, who runs the concessions.
Oh.
I'm not joking. Yes, her husband, who runs the concessions. Correct. I'm not making that up. That's true. Do your own homework. That's actually accurate. So with that, that's why they give out jobs. That's why they must use taxpayer dollars to have more power. That's the behind it. People don't understand why. I don't care about that. That's why my system would work better, because I don't care about that.
I mean, they have enough money, first of all. So yeah, they can
Yes.
deal with it. I always say it like this, like when you give a business or a sports team money, do all the taxpayers who funded that, are they now shareholders? Are they going to get dividends in that
It'd
project?
be nice.
No. Do you know how much Michigan taxpayers have given to the big 3 car companies? It is literally insane. Like, every Michigan resident should get dividends from the big 3. That's how much money
Alaska
we've given
gets
them.
cash from their base, their sovereign fund, basically in oil. I want to do it with New York. Same thing. The two things I want to do for New York. Number one, I want to create a New York State Social Trust, which is literally a sovereign fund for New York State. A separate company, not part of the government, separate CEO, separate board. Norway has one, Singapore has one, Saudi Arabia has one. Many people have sovereign. Once you get that sovereign fund, the first thing it should pay for is education. Because if it pays for education, it comes directly from the sovereign fund. Several things happen. Number one, school tax unnecessary. depending upon where you are in New York State, school tax is about 50% of property tax for us, give or take. So I've just dropped your property tax by 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing, if the money's coming from the trust, it doesn't have to come from the federal government or state government. What does that mean? No strings attached.
Mm-hmm.
Local people control their own local school boards.
Yeah, that's what people don't understand when, there's a lot of talk about like President Trump's closing down the Department of Education, which, by the way, he doesn't have that power. That would have to go through Congress. But anyway, the point is the federal government holds education money hostage unless states comply with certain things. So, Title IX is one of them. So it's like you have to be fair, no discrimination, stuff like that. Or if you are discriminating, then we're not going to give you all of this education money that, we're saving for your schools. So it has been very nefarious over the years. I mean, there was even fear that, like, if you're not COVID vaccinated, that the schools aren't going to be paid out.
100%.
And so you don't want the federal government to have that much control. And all of the important things are done at the local level. So your curriculum and everything is happening at your state and local government. Your school boards they're elected locally. People don't understand these things. They hear, President Trump's getting rid of education. No, like, you go every 4 years or 2 years, whatever your elections are, and you vote for your school board. Like, they have a lot of control.
There's an important piece there's an important piece you're missing. They actually wind up in the long run not having control. What I mean by that is, while officially you're right, they do, but they want that money.
Yes.
So they wound up becoming slaves to the federal government anyway, right? People wonder, if you're my age, and I know you're a little younger than me because I'm a young man. Anyway, if you're my age, you remember there used to be things like Sharpe, home ec, civics was all done in schools. Those were all gone. People go, that's because the woke left's getting rid of them. That's not the reason why. I mean, I'm sure the woke left may hate them, but that isn't why they're doing it. They're doing it because the federal government pressures them to do well on the test, which is ELA and math. So all they do is ELA and math. Civics, not in the test, right? Sharpe, not in the test. Home ec, not in the test. So why would I spend time doing it where I don't get paid for it? Again, incentives. The federal government incentivizes getting rid of civics, getting rid of home ec, getting rid of Sharpe. So they do. Not just that. What's crushing New York and probably Michigan too is our severe lack of people going into trades. It is crushing us.
Yeah.
Why? Same thing. The federal money comes in based upon a high school's college placement. So if that's the case, why would a guidance counselor tell you to go to trade school? He doesn't get paid for that. He gets paid if you go into college. So they tell you got to go to college. You must go to college. I'm not against people going to college. I'm against people going to college. Well, I'm saying you should do what you want. What I'm saying is I want you to go to college if you want to go to college, meaning you have a plan, like I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor. Good for you. I'm not mad at you for it. But the problem is we've just said, go to college. It's the magic pill. Here's the thing about everyone who's watching is go, Larry, you don't understand. College graduates make more money, blah, 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 blah. There's stats. Let me explain those stats to you real fast. Those stats are at least 10 years old, if not 20. And here's the most important part. You have to know how much someone's made over their lifetime, which means who you're talking to, retirees. So everyone you're talking to is early as 65, if not 75, 80. And the stats are 10, 20 years old. So you're talking to people who are 80 and 90 years old now. They went to college 60 or 70 years ago. 60 or 70 years ago, that was true.
Yeah, at a time
that was 100%
where
true
when you had a college degree, you were it. Like, you were hired right away. Today, I graduated with my bachelor's and there were no jobs because they also want you to have experience now, like 10 to 15 years experience. So I did what I was told next to do. I went and got my master's degree. That didn't work
Waste
either.
of time.
So
you should have come to me first. I would have told you that. So yes.
I'm thankful to have it. I was told by a professor that, like, when you're in a room with a lot of people, a lot of people have masters. So, like, if you have a bachelor's, you're already a step behind. So I'm thankful to have it.
Hold on. I'll be very clear on this. Your professor is 100% wrong. That's utter bullshit. Not true whatsoever. The wealthiest, most powerful people in the world have one of two things. the highest degree from the absolute highest schools on the planet, or nothing.
Yeah.
That's it. So if you can go and become a top graduate out of Harvard or Yale, awesome. Or also, by the way, academies. If you can go to say the West Point or the Annapolis, great. That because the networking value is huge. The education shit, but the networking value is huge. But if you're just going to I'm going to University of blah blah blah, you've just thrown your money in the garbage. If you want to be, if you don't just enjoy having it. So if you just want to go get one, good for you. I'm not mad at you for it. But if you think I'm going to get this degree and I'm going to be better off, you're not. In fact, this is the first time in American history right now to where the unemployment rate for someone who has a college degree is lower than someone who does not.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That just happened last year.
Wow.
Lower. So you go to college and the odds of getting hired are now less and you have college debt. Now that just happened last year.
Yeah.
When I was I'm a business consultant. I hire and fire. I reorg. When I was dealing with, this is 15 years ago. I was saying this 10, 15 years ago. When I was in with some of the top tech companies, like the most cutting edge, a master's degree was a no hire. I'm not joking. Master's degree, garbage. Master's degree, garbage. It was a no hire. They wanted to see what you did. And within the 5 or 10 years after that, what you saw was hackathons. Those of you may not know what a hackathon is. Hackathons is when they would literally just go to colleges, companies go to colleges and say, hey, weekend, show up. Here's a problem. Get in a group, solve it. Whoever solves the problem, you're hired. Leave college. They were called hackathons. They still have them, but they're not as popular as they used to be. Because now, of course, AI and H-1B visas have changed a lot of that. But that was a thing. They didn't care what your degree was in. Look at most of the top people. They don't even have college degrees. Doesn't matter. I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm saying please don't think college is the answer. It's not. Anyone who tells you it is either in academia, right? Now, because to be forward, in academia specifically, in that world, they're correct. Right? Academia, IQ, insanely important. In academia, credentialing, insanely important. Outside of academia, IQ, almost irrelevant. People have all different IQs. Grit is far more important than IQ. IQ is nice. If you're smart, it's nice. But your grit, your ability to push through things and fight through, far more important than IQ outside of academia. If you want to work for government, credentialing, very important. If you're like, I want to work for government, get a master's degree. Absolutely, because they will pay you more for it. Right? It's in their best interest.
Yeah.
Government will support education all day long. So if you want to work for government, get a master's degree, get a doctorate. Wonderful idea. You want to be in academia, get a master's degree, get a doctorate. Absolutely. Outside of those two, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Only get the ones that will get you the license required for the job you want, like get an engineering degree or get a doctor to become a doctor, a medical degree, a law degree. For the licensing you require, good idea. Other than that, why are you doing it?
I should have went to law school, but I got my master's.
That might work.
I went and got my master's for marketing, specifically like market research is what I wanted to do, like surveys, all that jazz. But I like to have it now just so I can tell other people who think that they're a hot shot that they have their master's degree, and I can just say, okay, so do I. Like, it doesn't make you better than anyone else.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one better. I've actually taught at the graduate level of both Yale and Columbia. I do not have a master's degree.
I was asked recently to go speak to a room full of lawyers about the Freedom of Information Act, literally about the law, to teach lawyers. So, yeah, I really should have went to law school.
My point perfectly. My point perfectly. Yes. Absolutely true. Yes.
So
did you go?
It hasn't happened yet. So
okay, good. You should go.
But so you just said H-1B visas. So it just reminded me of immigration. So what would you do about immigration? How do these sanctuary cities work? Does the governor have control over that stuff? Tell me about that.
So several things. Something to remember. People now are saying it's a Republican Democrat issue. It actually isn't. It's a Biden issue. This was a Biden error. It was a mistake or whatever. It was a mistake. They wanted it. But my point is, this was what Biden did. If you go back, Obama wasn't crazy with the border. Bush wasn't crazy with the border. Clinton wasn't crazy with the border. Nobody was. Trump wasn't crazy with the border. Nobody was. The only person that was Biden. He was insane with the border. Nobody else was. That's why it was easy to be a sanctuary city, because nobody was nuts with the border. It was never an issue. New York City's been a sanctuary city for decades. For decades. Didn't matter. Clinton wasn't letting everybody in. Neither was Bush. Neither was Obama. Neither was Trump. Nobody was. Only Biden was like, let them all in. This was a Biden issue. Now, I'm not trying to be mean or anti-Biden. I mean, Biden was a bad president, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying recognize this was not a Democrat or Republican issue. This was a Biden issue specifically. Democrats before Biden didn't do the stupidity, right? But letting that many people in at one point was just too much for the system to handle. And that's what made the sanctuary cities a disaster. They weren't a disaster before because there weren't that many people coming in. Mm-hmm. So you could handle it, right? Most cities require immigrants. Most cities need them for their cheap labor in their hospitality industries and such, right? They need them, so they're happy to have them. So most of them are. In most big cities, they can't survive without immigrant labor. It's just true. Not just that. We've spent the last 30 to 40 years telling our young men, don't go into the trades. That's for dumb kids. That's for bad kids. Don't do that. So now we got no tradesmen. Mm-hmm. For every 3 tradesmen who leave the field, only 1 comes in. In New York State, the average tradesman in my state is over 50. Now, I'm not mad at I'm over 50, so I'm not mad at my over 50-year-olds. I'm not mad at them. But that should not be the average. The average should be 35, 40 should be the average, right? And the guy who's 50, he shouldn't have the hammer in his hand anymore. He should be telling somebody where to hammer, but he's got the hammer in his hand. He shouldn't have the hammer in his hand anymore, and he does, right? And that's a problem. So what do? Immigrant labor. Farmhands, immigrant labor. So we require the labor. I know people get mad. We don't want him here. Big business wants him here. That's why Biden gave it to him. Biden gave big business exactly to your point about big business, and Democrats hate big business. Biden gave it to him. Big business said we need this immigrant labor, and here's why. Number one, we need it because young men have checked out of America. Over 10 million young men between 22 and 45 or in that area have just checked out. They don't want jobs. They don't want girlfriends. They don't want families. They don't want careers. They checked out. That's 10 million people that they can't fill those jobs. Not just that. We've been telling our young men, as I said, to not go into the trades. So they're not going into trades. And we've also allowed college-educated people, don't worry about it. As soon as you're done, there's going to be a great, massive job waiting for you, right? And we're not having kids. Mm-hmm. All those things are true. We're not pair bonding anymore. All things are true. So, and now last one, AI. So I got AI. I got 10 million men checking out. I got nobody in the trades. Big business saw this trend. I did too. And big business said, Biden, I need 10 million to replace them 10 million. Let them in. However they did that, I don't think they said those words. I mean, maybe. Who knows Biden if he knew what he was doing. I don't know. But anyway, my point is they said something like that to those, and Biden went, all right. And boom, they all came in. They came in because big business wanted them. This wasn't a mistake, right? And they have them now, which is why they don't mind the border being closed. Because they have them now. It's all good. They're like, fine, close the border. We got what we wanted. They're okay. That's why they're not mad. Big business not mad at Trump anymore. Good, close the border, Trump. We got what we wanted. Now, what's the next thing pushing Trump with? H-1B. That's the next level. That's for AI. So now and he's acquiescing on that. So big business is now getting Trump to give the H-1Bs. That's the next level, right? To just replace us in that regard. That's already happening. But what do I do about it? Here's the issue. You physically cannot get rid of them. And I know people all the time get mad at me. Larry, you got to throw them out. They broke the law. You are just virtual signaling. You cannot. Right now, already what's happening. Kristi Noem and her crew, they are literally buying broken jets from Spirit Airlines. I'm not making that up. Google that. That's true. To try to get enough planes to get people out. They are still begging people on Rumble to say, "Hey, join the ICE so we can start getting." We don't have enough bodies. There's 20 million of them. How are we going to deport 20 million people? You cannot. It is physically impossible. And every self-righteous jerk goes, "Throw them all out." You're going to do it? Quit your job, hotshot, and start kicking doors in and pulling Pablo out and send him across the border. Do it. You're not gonna. You want to triple your taxes? and take another 2 million people out of the workforce and put them in the ICE to do it? You want to stop trains from going from one city to another and take them all just to go back to Mexico? You want to shut down our TSA so we can just take migrants across? 20 million of them. It is impossible. It cannot be done. I accept that as true. As unhappy as that makes me, it is true. So I must accept that as true. With that in mind, what is my answer? Focus on the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my city, just my city, took in 200,000 of them last year.
200,000 immigrants or 200,000
migrants?
Bad?
No, migrants. People tell me 99% are good. Okay, I will believe that number for you. That's still 2,000 gangbangers that just went into my city.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're right, 99% are great people. Okay, I'll buy it. I will accept your number. I got 2,000 gangbangers. The average gang is only 200 people. That's 10 gangs just went to my city. You just put 10 gangs in my city. I have a problem with that. Maybe I'm crazy. Call me crazy. I have a problem with that. So let's focus then. If I can't get all of them, can I focus on the bad guys? Here's how we do that. We create privately held Ellis Islands. I say we do one in the Bronx, where I'm in New York City, and maybe one in Brooklyn, because we have an immigrant community there that can easily figure things out there, right? So maybe 2 of those. What does that do? We basically copy the model of a I assume you have it in Michigan. In New York State, if you want to get your car inspected, you don't have to go to the DMV. You go to a local gas station. They follow the rules. They inspect your car and give you a stamp. That's how it works in New York State.
We do not do car inspections.
Yeah. So each state's different. In my state, you have to get your car inspected every 2 years, I think, every 2 years. So,
for what?
Because New York State's the nanny state. That's the reason.
Like, what do they inspect?
To make sure, I don't know, it has the right carbon emissions, because we have to be carbon clean and stuff. Because we're a nanny state.
And I'm sure you have to pay for it. So it's just,
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes. Oh, New York, get your life together, man.
So we have that, right? So now that we have that, what happens is that's done in a local gas station. Well, I want to follow the same model. We're run by the LSI will be run by a recruiting company or recruiting companies. You want at least 2 separate ones. People have a choice to go to 2 of them if they want to. Recruiting companies right now move people across the world all day long, every day, and we don't have massive criminals, massive problems at all, right? So put them in charge of that. They run it. If you want to be legal, you go there. Now, it's like a massive hotel. They literally put you there. You stay quarantined for whatever the time is, 2 weeks or whatever the time is. They check you out. Are you a bad guy? You have disease, whatever. If you're good, we follow whatever the rules are from the federal government. You get what's called an orange card. The orange card follows a couple of good rules from DACA. DACA had a lot of problems, and I don't like how Obama did it. However, there were good rules to it. These are 2 good rules that were in DACA. Rule number 1, you had to check in every 2 years. If you didn't check in, you're gone. Second thing, you may take no public assistance at all. Take public assistance, you're gone. Follow the 2 rules. Good rules. Just take those rules, copy it. You may now go to any state who opts in. If a state opts in, they want migrants. They may take a person. They go there. They can pay taxes and work for 2 years. Why do I do that? Here's the reason why. Law enforcement has trouble getting people who are the bad guys. Why? Because they often live in enclaves. In these enclaves, the people who are good are afraid of people who are bad. Good Pablo doesn't want bad Pablo in his neighborhood. He doesn't, but he's afraid to tell the cops. Well, if good Pablo gets legal, now he goes, oh, I'm legal. I'm not a bad person. I'm legal. I'm going to go tell the cops what bad Pablo is. Now cops go get bad Pablo.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that. Once I've said, if you want to get legal, go here. Now when I make a raid, I'm not hurting people anymore because you had your chance.
Yeah.
I make a raid. Well, I'm not a bad person. Why didn't you go to Brooklyn? Pack your trash, you're out.
Yeah.
Pack your trash, you're out. Mm-hmm. Right? The problem is we're doing things that look bad, feel bad, are bad. I don't want to be breaking up families. It's terrible. Okay, I got it. If you're not a bad family, right? You're not a bad Pablo. You're a good Pablo. Awesome. Go to the Ellis Island. They'll show that it's good and you'll be fine. Here's the other thing. The bad Pablos won't go there because they're not getting out.
Yeah.
Right? If they go, they're not coming out. They won't go there. What will wind up happening as the enclaves become more legal? What will happen is more documented. Bad Pablos will leave because it will be unfriendly to them. Again, their incentive will be, I'm not welcome here. I can't do this. So the bad guys will leave. So while we will still be a sanctuary, we're not going to get stopped sanctuary city in New York City. New York City wants to be a sanctuary city. They want it. It's not going to go away. I can say whatever. It's not going to stop. Again, I recognize reality versus virtue signaling that we have all the time. I'm not virtue signaling.
So that's something that is decided at the local level, not at the state level?
Yes, the local level decides sanctuary city status. New York City is a sanctuary city. New York City gives out IDs. I'm not joking. New York City gives us its own IDs. Yes. New York City is going to be a sanctuary city. You can be mad all day, and I know the people I get all the time. The law. Nobody gives a shit.
Well, okay,
This is virtue signaling.
Talking
Nobody
about
cares.
ID, tell me about elections. What are your thoughts about the elections?
We actually have decent laws in New York City. No one follows them. New York State actually has voter ID.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, people don't know that. Again, it's the law. It doesn't matter. If the culture doesn't change, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The people don't check. That's what happens. But our laws, we have voter ID. We do.
That's so funny.
Yes.
See, in Michigan, you have to show your ID, but you can just sign a piece of paper saying I don't have it, and you are who you say you are. So you don't actually need an ID. And I could get into so much detail, but so my mom is a permanent resident. A lot of people don't understand that you can be here legally without being a citizen. There's this whole
Of course,
middle
my mom was
section.
one too.
A lot of people don't understand.
Was, from Germany, and she stayed a German citizen until she died. Where's your mom from?
Italy. So
here we go.
So people think you're either here legally, you're a citizen, or you're here illegally. But there's a middle. You can be here on a visa. You can be here on a green card. So my mom is a permanent resident. She gets her green card redone every 10 years, and she can be here. And you would never know that she's not a citizen. She's been here since she was like 5 years old. She doesn't have an accent. She owns property. She pays taxes. She has a business, all of that. Anyway, so the only thing really she can't do is vote. But the Secretary of State, with their rules, they have made it where everyone gets signed up to vote pretty much automatically. So when you go to, we call it SOS, but the DMV, when you go to the DMV, the box is already checked to register to vote. And so my mother has to tell them, uncheck the box. But how many people are saying that are not supposed to be voting? And they send her paperwork in the mail saying you need to register to vote. And there's a lot of people that don't know this. And so for people to say, I'm very much a moderate on this issue. I'm not that person that believes that there's so much fraud that it could actually overturn an entire presidential election.
Hold on.
That's kind of a stretch to me. But I'm also not on the side that there's no fraud. Like, of course there's fraud. Of course there is. Michigan is a perfect example. We have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of more people registered to vote than people who are over the age of 18 in the state. So there is fraud. And we should be doing everything we can to limit as much as we can. And going back, I didn't know that you guys have laws for voter ID in your state.
Oh, but they don't do them. The same point you said, like the issue is you're bringing up is correct. People will say, Larry, it's against the law to vote. I hear it all the time. It's against you're right. And people are still voting.
Yes.
Right. Both of those things are true. It is against the law for non-citizens to vote. True. And people are still voting. Right. And not just that. I know in New York State how broken it is because I've been registered to vote in 2 places for years. And I've told them to stop it. They won't.
Gosh.
So yeah, I mean,
laws
I could
are
go
only
vote twice.
Laws
and
are
I could
only
go vote twice if I wanted to. Yes.
The laws are only as good as how well they are enforced.
Correct.
So there can be a law, but if no one follows it, like there's a chicken ordinance in my town. You can only have 6 chickens, no roosters. people have chickens, people have roosters because it's not enforced. So,
Right.
okay. Any other topics? I know crime is a big one. So, like, any thoughts on getting crime down in the state? I know that's very broad.
Yeah, but crime isn't as bad as it has been. Crime actually has come down recently in New York City and New York State. It has come down. You need to remember here, crime is not about poverty. People will say it all the time. Crime is about the black market. Make less black markets, you will have less crime. It's how it works every single time. Open people up to having ownership of their own neighborhoods, ownership of their own areas. Ownership is the answer for the future. How are we going to stop AI? Ownership. How are we going to stop UBI? Ownership. How are we going to stop government taking over? Ownership is the only answer. One of the things I hadn't brought up, which I think is one of the most important things, is energy. We should be having nuclear power plants all throughout New York State. There are 13 sites right now. We could pop them on, have them up in 2 years. Take those sites with people who agree via plebiscite. They want to have the site. You don't want to have a nuclear site, don't have it, up to you. And here's the rule. The land is leased by the government, but not owned by the government, meaning the plant isn't owned by the government. The land is leased, so there's a payment the government gets every single year. That's how I like the government running. It leases out the land. The private company buys it, owns it, puts it up. 50% owned by the local community/municipality. Ownership is for several reasons. Why? Why would I want to have a data center? Why would I want to have a blockchain mining center in my town? I wouldn't. All they do is suck up my water, suck up my energy, and maybe pay more bills. But if they're buying energy from my nuclear power plant that I have ownership in, I can't wait to have them in. I can't wait. A nuclear power plant's hundreds of jobs, plus 4 jobs for every 1 job created. A nuclear power plant is created to support that. Now, a data center, maybe a dozen jobs, maybe, right? A blockchain mining facility, maybe a dozen jobs, maybe. It's not much. So why would I want them? I only want them if I can get paid to have them. But more importantly, let's say some AI companies decide, I want to create Skynet and rule the world. Okay, got it. You want to do that. We own the power, so we're shutting you down. Someone has to be able to pull the plug, and it can't be the top 6 men on the planet. It's got to be somebody besides that.
So
and the only way we get around that's the ownership.
Didn't New York just raise utility, like electricity?
Insane. Yes.
So tell me
Yes.
about that. And I think this is
Yes.
actually going to be a great lesson for people. In my state, there's 2 companies, DTE and Consumers. And since they're monopolies, the state has to approve
Yep.
the rate changes, which every time they've asked for an increase in the rate, they have been granted. So what would you do? Does the governor appoint that
You
board
just
that
said
decides?
something. What you said was, because they're a monopoly, we could make them not a monopoly. Problem solved. Right? So
Yeah.
let's cut it off at the legs. How about not a monopoly? And then
Mhm.
the government doesn't care. How about the
Yeah.
people own it? As I
Yeah.
just said, then it doesn't matter. If we actually built 13 nuclear power plants within 2 years, which can be done, if we did that, we wouldn't need any other energy in New York State.
Mm.
That's all we need. There'd be nothing else required. And the people would own it.
See, I don't
So
know much about
if
nuclear. I
if
don't
they're
know. I mean, does any state have it right now? I don't know anything
yeah, we
about
have
it
nuclear
really.
power plants in New York State. We have some. We do.
Mm.
Not enough, and they're all old. We want the new Gen 4 ones that literally cannot melt down. They're called Gen 4 thorium plants. They're actually, I think, China built, 10 of them already. China's already built them. We should be building them. Knock it out. Now we own it. If you're going to raise prices, you raise it on yourself.
Mhm.
Raise them on yourself if you want to. But not just that. Now all 13 can compete.
Yeah.
Let them compete.
Mhm.
I got 13 companies. Let them compete. Not just that thing, stop building out their own grids.
Yeah.
Even better. Multiple grids means we're safe.
People say all the time that capitalism is the problem in our country and like why healthcare and all this stuff is so bad because the rich are just so greedy. But capitalism in its true state is actually a beautiful thing. It's the survival of the fittest. So, like the best businesses succeed, the bad ones fail. So, you need to have the best price, the best product in the right place. So, if you don't have all of that, then your business is going to fail. So it makes businesses compete with each other to have the best price and service and all of that stuff. So I don't know where this mindset came from that like capitalism is bad because it's not. It's
The
crony
mindset
capitalism
came
that
because of
people
crony
think of.
capitalism and
Yeah.
corporatism. The
Yeah.
actual best capitalism actually is one thing. It's called community capitalism. Community capitalism is how the country was built. Local people having ownership of their own shops. right? I tell the
Mhm.
story often. When I was a kid in the Bronx, there was a local pizza place that I love called Joe's Pizza. The guy came from Italy. Like he came from Italy, right?
Mhm.
Joe's Pizza, it's an immigrant community, and it was a pizza shop. When he retired, he gave it to his daughter, Paula. It became Paula's Pizza, right? She was born here, but she was Italian, but she was born here, and she ran the joint after that. Now it's a Subway, and I think the owner is in Connecticut.
Wow.
That's the problem. Community capitalism works very well. It is how we grow. It's how we get out of our situations. It's how communities grow together. The key is not capitalism. The key is community capitalism. That's the key.
Well, and my town is such a perfect example. We have so many incredible small businesses. We kind of have like the north end and then the south end. The north end is full of all the corporate businesses. The south end are all the small businesses. So anytime we have an event in town, which we have 10,000 a year, the organizations will go around and ask for donation to fund the, free community events. And you never hear from the north end. They
Right.
never get involved. The corporate
Right.
businesses, the McDonald's,
Yep.
the O'Reillys, all of them, you never hear from them. You don't know how to contact them. If you need to contact them, you have to contact the corporate office. They never respond to you. But the small businesses, you can walk right in, talk to the
Yep.
owner, and they almost always donate to make all of these events possible. And it
Yep.
makes the community stronger. So,
Yep.
yes, I 100% it's
That's
support
the
of
answer.
that.
Yes.
Anything else you want to talk about before we
I could talk for
wrap up?
hours. I'm gonna let you go though. We'll do another show.
Okay. Well, if there was one thing that you wish New York voters knew in the 2026 election, what would be that one thing?
That is, if you vote for the Republican or the Democrat that's running right now, you will get Kathy Hochul again. You will get exactly the same thing. If you are happy with how New York is running, you should vote for one of them. You'll get that. It won't stop. It'll be exactly the same. If you want change, there is only one way to change, by voting for the only independent candidate, which is me, Larry Sharpe. That is the only way. New York State is not going to go red. It's going to go independent or stay blue. That's what's going to happen. New York State is about 2 cycles from Republicans no longer running statewide candidates anymore. Nebraska doesn't run, Democrats don't run statewide candidates in Nebraska. Utah, Democrats don't run statewide candidates anymore. You can't. There's no way of raising money, and we'll do it. You're seeing it in New York. That's the future. Make that change. That's what you should do.
And then where can people find more information about you?
LarrySharpe.com is the place to be. Hang out over there, say hi to me, or just Google Larry Sharpe. I am the most famous Larry Sharpe in the country.
There you go. Okay, well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, and I will see you guys all next time.